Hey, everyone. Welcome back to this lovely episode. As always, I try and keep things lovely. Don't keep things too serious, and always smile. As I always say, don't look up your ass too much. Otherwise, you'll be a bit of an asshole. However, that's enough for my advice. Let's get on to what we're here for. This artist that I've got here with me today is an absolute burgeoning pop sensation. She's been just releasing single after single this year, very strong singles, and just been really on top of sending them across to us. She's just put out a couple of new tracks, and I'm so keen to be chatting to her today. Please welcome the former Kiwi, let's not hold that against her, but now Melbourneite, Joanna Jones. Joanna,
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Please do get yourself comfy, Joanna. Yeah. I believe this is your first radio interview.
It is. Yes, it is.
Now let's get the nerves. Let's get the nerves going at just a nice level. You know, don't stress you out too much. If you fuck up a bit, that's okay. We're all human.
Yeah, I won't be too hard on myself.
How are you anyway? Because it's
Yeah, I'm good. I'm a lot better now that the weather's progressed.
Yes, you mentioned before. You were mentioning to me before that you can't quite get the Melbourne weather. It's either too cold or it's too hot for you. You can't quite hit the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, well, I do find that we have a lot more overcast days here than we do back in Auckland, where I'm from. And yeah, I do find the Melbourne summers a bit too warm. I don't think that I've ever gotten used to them.
Just a little bit sweltering. Just got to sit in there under the fan, eating a calippo or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, actually, 4 days after I moved here, it was during a heat wave, and it was 5 days of 42 and over. So I literally just sat under the air conditioning.
I remember that heat wave. That was a nasty time.
I think I literally arrived 2 days prior to it, and I'm like, well, this is what I'm in for.
Why did I come to Satan's ass? Have I died and gone to hell? No. Are you more of a winter person or a summer person?
Definitely summer.
Okay.
Yeah. I like winter days if it's sunny.
I love the inconsistency. Can't handle the heat, but I love summer.
Yeah. Like I was saying to you earlier, it's the dry heat that gets me. When you open the front door and it's like you're opening the oven and it just like bowls you over.
Yes. Yeah, or the classic, if you can stick a pan out for 10 minutes and cook an egg out in the driveway on the asphalt.
Yeah. So, I mean, because in New Zealand, a 27-degree day, that's really warm.
Yeah.
Whereas, here, that's nothing.
Yeah, as today is. I think today has been. Actually, no, I think it got to 28 today, 27, 28. So,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And early too.
Just beautiful weather, beautiful outside weather. It's a shame. Yeah. It's a shame there's a virus going around. Can't spend more time outside. This would be. I miss days like today where you could just have a pint in a beer garden on a day like today.
I know. It's just those simple things. Just having a beer with some friends. Just relaxing, chilling. Breaks up the week as well.
This is exactly what what's her face was talking about in Little Red Taxi. She goes, what was her name? I've forgotten her name. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like not Joan Jett, the other one.
Okay, yeah.
You don't know what you've got till it's gone.
Gone,
Little
exactly.
Red,
yeah.
What is it? Big Red Taxi or whatever?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. People are going to probably kill me now. It's like, Daniel, it's that. What's her face? I can't actually. I've got to look this up because I've.
Okay,
I'm thinking. Oh yeah, it's Joan Jett. No, not Joan Jett. Joni Mitchell. That's it. Why couldn't I think of Joni Mitchell?
Yeah, Joni Mitchell.
It always slips my mind when this happens.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all basically realizing how good we had it before.
So you reckon that we'll savor that moment, that first moment when we get back to things? You reckon?
I think so. Well, I mean, I guess it just depends how people react. Did you see what happened down in St Kilda yesterday? There was a whole lot of people gathering without masks, and I don't think that's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, I saw that. It's look, I won't comment on that, but that it makes me shake my head a little bit. I want to so. Firstly, welcome to the show, of course. You have been pretty busy this year, all things considering, putting out a lot of singles.
Right. Yeah.
This is what? How many singles have you put out this year? It's like 4 or something, isn't it?
Yeah, 4. Yep.
It's a pretty productive little schedule you've got going on there.
Yeah, and I've got one more that should be up for the end of the year too.
That's pretty productive. What's the idea behind just like going for the single-only releases like that?
Yeah, right. So I've done music for years, and I've been in so many different bands and played so many different genres of music. But my heart's always laid with pop. And I just really wanted to experiment with some different sounds, see what felt comfortable, and really just get it out there. I mean, I'd actually, for years on the side, been writing songs and coming up with melodies, and I never released any of them. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. Like, just take action. And I think that, you know, I studied jazz, and I know a lot of people that write songs, but they're too scared to get them out there. And I thought, you know, this is what I'm doing. Like, this is what I'm doing full time. I just need to feel the fear and do it anyway. So that's what happened.
So what's triggered you? Because you said you've been writing songs for years. What, for other people or?
Sorry, I'm choking.
No, that's all good.
No, so that was just writing songs on the side, because I worked corporate.
Not corporate music.
No. Sorry, I'm just joking. I'm going to have a glass of water.
Like, what are you?
No, so like I used to work in sales, and I also worked as a insurance broker.
Yeah.
And that was purely a means to earn an income. And prior to that, I'd studied jazz, but then I actually switched to economics, just as like a backup, if you like.
The stock market, like jazz music, makes no sense. So I get that connection.
So anyway, yeah, like I digress, but music's always been my passion. It's always been my outlet. I've lived a very transient life, and I've often kind of felt a bit alone in life, like people, because I've moved around so much, music's always been my constant.
Yeah.
And it's always been an outlet for me, and it's been my only long-standing passion. So, yeah, I was always fiddling around on the piano, or like performing at weddings. I also did some corporate gigs as well. But yeah, I was just writing on the side, but I always wanted to do music, but I basically put earning an income, a safe income, before it. And then I decided, you know what, enough's enough. Like, I'm not happy doing this. I'm going to bite the bullet and just write and release. And so that's what I've done. And I definitely want to work on the songs that I'm putting together for my EP, which will be out early next year.
So you mentioned before that you said you've gone around a bit. So you said you've obviously born and raised in New Zealand, Auckland.
Yeah. Well, no, not that simple.
No. Okay, not that simple. It's never that simple, is it? It's never that simple.
I've lived in so many different places, like throughout New Zealand. Right. You name a place, I bet I've lived there.
Come on, give us the roll call. Come on.
Well, I don't even want to go through it all because it's just so much. But, so my mum, right, my parents were really young when they had me.
Yep.
They were 19, and they were both at med school. And anyway, so then they split up, and so I was raised by my mother, and then she met my stepdad. But so she had me in Dunedin, but she was from Auckland. So then we lived in Dunedin.
I was going to say, is that because they went to uni in Dunedin? Because
yeah, they were studying med school there.
Funny when we interviewed pop star VK last week, we did actually mention how Dunedin is a very university town, a bit like Melbourne.
It's well known. It's pretty loose as well down there.
Loose, eh? She didn't mention
way loose than this than here.
In what way? Yeah. Please elaborate, because I feel like she left out all the juicy details.
Well, I didn't study down there. I think, you know, my little sister's studying down there at the moment. She's studying psychology, but because she was in a hall for her first year, and she's about to go into second year. And like, there's just a huge drinking culture. And when they set up this flat that they're going to move into next year, they basically do this thing where you have to audition, and they get you to do all these different like tasks and dress up as different things. They used to set couches on fire. Like there was a certain day each year where everyone would put their couch out on the street and set it up on fire. It's not for everyone. Let's just say that. I mean, not everyone is like that that's down there. But yeah, it's very much a student scene.
It was, she was met, when we had as same with last week's interview, was saying very big party scene, big drum and bass scene down there. So that doesn't surprise me actually when you talk about that more. So you were raised in Dunedin, and then where did you go to next after that?
No, I wasn't.
No.
So I was only born there.
Okay.
So I was born in Dunedin.
Cross out that note, guys. Come on, let's get that.
We'll do this really quickly, otherwise we'll be spending a whole interview on this. But
and then I took a trip to Mexico to escape the drug lord. No.
So Dunedin, then Christchurch, then Ashburton, then Invercargill, which is actually below Dunedin.
Yeah.
Invercargill is freezing, so cold.
So
and then
you've had both extremes and the extreme hot and the extreme cold.
Exactly. And then we moved from Invercargill.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all this time, every holidays, because my grandparents kind of half raised me, I was always going up to Auckland to stay with my grandparents. But then, so we went from Invercargill to Christchurch.
Right.
And then from Christchurch, we moved to Thailand, to Bangkok. And then my parents
One of these places is not like the others, folks. Can you guess which one?
Yeah. So then I moved to Bangkok, and then my stepdad was working for the United Nations. That's why I went there.
Wow.
And then he got a job in Geneva. So they actually moved to France, but he worked in Geneva in Switzerland. And because they did that, I ended up going to boarding school for my last year of high school back in New Zealand in Wanaka. So I did 1 year of school in Wanaka. And then after Wanaka, I moved to Nelson for a year. And then I moved to Wellington for 4 or 5 years. And then I moved back to Auckland. But Auckland's always felt like home because that's where all my family's always been. And I always just keep going back there. And so then I lived in Auckland for a while, and then I moved over here.
I think this is I think a very common question for people that do move around quite a bit like that. Is that it's hard? Is it hard to make connections with the people that you are surrounded by because of that?
Definitely. Like, I don't think I realized I was doing it at the time, but after a while, you kind of subconsciously stop like making as much of an effort with the people around you and like making.
So I want to hang out this weekend. You wouldn't want to.
Well, it's not even that. It's just, I think you just subconsciously think that they're just going to be in your life for a short time. And so why invest? But that's really a sad way to live. Like, I believe that you should make an effort wherever you are, and you should make friends wherever you are because, so life is all about relationships.
So at what point in there were you learning music? Because you said you started doing jazz stuff.
Yeah. So I started initially in my mum, even though she's a GP, a doctor, but she always did music, and she's always very musical, like playing guitar around the house, playing violin. So she was at every family event, the aunties would be up dancing. Like, I don't know if other families do this, but literally every family birthday, anything, even if it wasn't like a celebration, would literally have Aberon or UB40, red wine, and everyone would be up dancing, like without fail every time.
It's always the ABBA.
Yeah.
It's like a contagion. You just can't stop dancing.
So exactly. And so that was just what I grew up with, like, and so anyway, in primary school, I was in the school choir and they needed soloists, and I auditioned, and they like identified that I had quite a good voice, or I had a good voice.
Quite a good voice. That's an understatement.
I have an amazing voice.
There we go. Come on. If you're going to brag, this is the one time to brag.
Exactly.
Trump her up, as I say.
Why not? But anyway, so I ended up in Christchurch. They don't call this anymore, I've been informed. They used to call it a special choir, but they don't call it special anymore because apparently that had negative connotations. But like, so I don't know what they call it now.
How does special have negative connotations? It's like special is like it evokes positivity. It's like, this is special. You don't want to miss this.
Exactly. But basically what would happen is that the best 2 or 3 singers from each school would be put forth to audition for this Christchurch music festival. So I got into doing that. And I think that's where my passion really grew for singing, because I was surrounded by other people that were really talented and really passionate, because you had to be pretty dedicated to be part of this choir, because we rehearsed on weekends and we rehearsed like after school.
Yeah.
So it's not as if it was just happening within school hours. And I just loved the harmonies and the energy and the otherworldliness about it. And I just absolutely loved it. I just remember there was a couple of soloists in this special choir, and I always just wished that I was one of them.
Well, so were you in the
got their position.
Were you just in the ensemble part, were you?
No, I was in the special choir.
Oh, okay.
So what happened is that the special at the Christchurch primary schools, it was also intermediate schools music festival. So it went for like 4 years. So I was in it for 4 years, I believe. The special choir would perform for 2 weeks straight.
Uh-huh.
So every evening, or like 4 evenings for 2 weeks straight. And then there was like the ensemble part, whereby just your average school choirs would come in and they'll just do one night behind us. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they would learn the songs that we were singing, but we would do like different harmonies to them, and we also had our own songs that we performed, and they would sing. I can't remember how many songs it was, but they would basically be behind us. But we were there for 2 weeks, and they were only there for one night.
So you got the lion's share of the work by the sounds of it.
Yeah, but within the special choir, there were like 2 soloists, I think, that got to stand out, and I just remember looking at them. But in saying that, when I moved to Thailand, I was one of the soloists as well. I mean, I was a soloist in my school choir.
Right, so you did a bit of singing. You did a bit of singing in Thailand as well.
Oh, yeah. So I always was in Thailand. I was in the school choir, and I was a soloist, and there was one other soloist, and she's now one of Thailand's biggest pop stars. Like, she can't go anywhere without being papped.
So this is like you're in the real like top pedigree, top shit right here. This is you must feel like you're walking amongst giants some days.
Well, she has definitely been the out of our year at school, at the international school I went to. She's definitely been like a stand, like she's the most successful out of our year. But yeah, we had a few cool opportunities within that choir. We sang at an APEC conference that was held in Bangkok to world leaders, and I also
corporate gigs, folks. They pay the bills.
Yeah. So yeah, I was doing that, and I also remember I also started playing bass guitar back then, but I didn't stick with it. Yeah.
So it sounds like then through your travels that the music's remained a pretty important constant.
Oh, yeah.
Do you find that what do you think's shaped you the most in terms of you having those multitude of different locations you've grown up with? What do you think you've taken out of that, I guess, above anything else?
Well, I think the most important thing that you need to know is that you need to be happy wherever you are, that moving somewhere else isn't going to make you're still going to be you're just going to be a different place. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can be inspired by different things, or certain places can be more suited to you, or you might prefer the weather, or you might prefer the temperature and being closer to beaches and so on. But I think the most important thing is to live for now, and to be a person that you're at peace and really proud to be. Because I used to hear of people being like, oh, when I move here, I'm going to be happy, or...
And you find that it's not so much the place itself, it's more what you make of it.
I definitely think the place does help, but the thing is, if you don't change your habits and you don't change your thinking process or your mindset, you're still going to be the same person wherever you are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably
no, sorry, keep going. It's all good.
But
yeah.
Yeah. And I also think in hindsight, if I could go back, I think I did used to invest a lot into my relationships. But as time went on, I did find that I kind of pulled back a bit. And sometimes I think, oh, actually, I should have made more of an effort. And because the thing about I'm a type of person, I'm an in-person person. I like to...
You mean inside person or just I don't want to let you know anything?
I like to talk to people in person.
Yep.
And so what I found is through moving a lot, you really have to make that added effort to like phone a friend or call or Skype, because they're not readily around you. And I guess I really had to, I don't have anywhere that I can go back to other than Auckland, because that's where like my mum and all her siblings and everyone is, and that's where my grandparents were who half raised me. I don't have a place that I can go back to and be like, oh, this is home. I've got this reputation here. I grew up known for doing X, Y, and Z. I don't have those relationships where I can go back home and kind of just see how they've progressed or how someone's grown up and what type of person they've turned into. Like, I do have friends, obviously still have friends, but dotted around the place. But I don't have that, what a lot of people do have, is where they go back home and they're like, they get together with all their friends that they've grown up with and went to school with. I don't have that.
So, I mean, all this talk about traveling and that is probably making everybody really, really irate right now, the fact that we can't at all. So we better change topic before there's a riot going on. What I did want to, because we're going to go to a break in a moment and play one of the recent singles that you've released called Disaster. And it's the song is not a disaster. It's a great song. What I wanted to know was what were the thoughts behind this one when you were putting it together?
Well, so this song actually started as a remix of one of my other songs. I did this song called Wake Up, and then I decided to remix it, and I wound up liking the remix production more than I liked the original. And so I decided to give it a different melody, and that's how Disaster came about. And it just it kind of has a 50 Shades of Grey sultry feel about it, but I wrote it as a breakup song, but from the perspective of the person that's actually ending a relationship. Because I feel like a lot of people that have been through that, but oftentimes it's not written about. It's normally the other party's perspective that's written about.
Nobody likes to admit when they're wrong. That's
or be the person. But sometimes you're doing someone a favor, right? But I think it was just written about finishing up a relationship where you genuinely did love the person and you've shared a good, you've had great times together, but moving forward, you don't see a future for you. You don't see a future where you're both happy and content. So it's time to move on, basically.
Cool. I see no reason why we shouldn't play it now. What does that sound like?
Cool.
Here it is. It's Disaster, one of Joanna Jones' recent singles. We'll be back before you can even say boo right here on Bar Talk. Oh, yeah. That was motherfucking nice. That was Disaster by Joanna Jones. You are here on Bar Talk, and I have the pleasure of having Joanna chat to me right now about all things music and otherwise. Joanna, lovely track, and you can really tell, what's going on there with the themes and that in terms of it being a breakup track when you review it. But again, really nice work. And I've noticed with all your songs that you have a very, very good synth pop production on them. I did want to chat a bit about that creative process because what's the deal when you go and you have to start recording a new song? Do you do any of the production yourself, or is it all, do you have people that you work with each time?
Yeah, so I do produce myself, and I'll often come up with ideas myself, and then I'll take it to like a more experienced producer and get them to help me finish it off. And that all came about through working with a producer, because I'm obviously predominantly a singer-songwriter, working with producers that didn't quite understand what I wanted. So then I ended up doing a production course in the evenings. And and then I basically got into doing some production. So I either start off with a chord progression and come up with a melody, or I start off with a beat. So I'm either come up with myself, or I might ask Stuart B, he's one of the producers that I've been working with, I'll send him a Spotify playlist of songs that I like and would like to sound similar to, and he'll come up with something, and I basically say yay or nay and come up with the changes, and then I'll come up with melody and lyrics and harmonies, and yeah.
Because you mentioned that just then, that you've gone through quite a few producers that haven't quite shared your vision in what you want your songs to sound like. Exactly. So where did you, what point did you get where you actually found producers that you really enjoy working with, and I guess how did you come across them?
So what happened was, it's funny how one thing leads to the next, which leads to the next. It's like a domino effect.
Classic butterfly effect.
Yeah.
You push the butterfly in Africa or whatever, it causes a chain reaction that bumps a giraffe or whatever, and it ends up having you match with a producer that sees your style. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, so what happened was I just started going to watch gigs more and going to watch pop acts around Melbourne. And there was a producer that opened... what happened was I went and saw I can't remember what the venue's called. It's down in St Kilda. I saw this advertisement for this pop singer who lives in LA, but she was back in Melbourne, and I wanted to see her. So then I went and listened to her. And this
you can name drop in this show. That's okay. Give us some give me the names, the goddamn names. Well,
so the artist that opened for her was Evangeline, and I ended up liking Evangeline more than I liked the artist I'd gone to see.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe they should remain nameless then.
And anyway, she's good, but I liked Evangeline, obviously. So then when Evangeline had another gig that came up, I think she was playing, was it the Workers Club?
Classic venue, yeah.
Yeah, so then I went down there, and she had a couple of artists opening for her, and one of them was this guy called Ezra. He goes under the name of Arzen, and I loved his production style. So I started working with him, and then I went and got our song mixed by this guy called Nick DeLorenzo from Panorama Mastering. I think his last name's DeLorenzo. His name's Nick. He's from Panorama Mastering. And anyway, I was talking to Nick about my music and where I wanted to go, and he recommended this guy, Stuart B, to me. And I had also seen that Evangeline had been working with him too. And Stuart's worked on records for Kylie Minogue, Illy, Tandy Phoenix. She's a Sydney artist. I absolutely love her. And so that's how I started working with Stuart, and he is an amazing talent. He's
how long have you been working with him now?
With Stuart, probably close to a year.
Yeah, and so all these new singles that you've been putting out are co-produced by him?
Most of them.
Yeah. What particularly has drawn you to working with him again and again? Is it just is there something about how the way he reads what your vision is and is able to put it forward? Can you sort of pinpoint precisely where the magic occurs? I
think so. He is he is a pop guy, and he does R&B as well. But when I spoke to him about the songs that I love and that I'm passionate about, he already knew all of those songs inside out, and he just got the vibe that I was going for. And I think I said to him, at the start, I was like, I'm not sure whether I want to go for more of an indie vibe like a Broods kind of feel or a more commercial pop sound. And so we basically just decided...
Did he help you move in what direction you decided to go with?
Well, yeah, the thing is that we kind of thought that I predominantly listened to commercial pop sounding songs, but my voice is a bit more suited to that kind of, not indie pop, sorry, left of centre pop. So we just tried to experiment with both sounds. But I think the thing is that he's just someone, I just felt like when I talk to him, he understands what I'm saying. He just gets it. And because he's quite young and he just lives and breathes it day after day after day, like this guy is so busy because he works with so many different artists. He's just got so much to draw from and he just understands pop. And in saying that though, I still feel like I'm definitely like a work in progress and I'm still experimenting with different sounds. And Stuart does do pop, but he doesn't do dance music. And I'm very much interested in doing dance music as well. But Stuart actually passed me on to, so Stuart, he gets most of his songs mastered by this guy called Alex Braithwaite. So then I ended up going and meeting Alex, and he's a dance music producer. He's done a lot of work with big Australian artists like Slumberjack and Golden Features. And so anyway, Alex and I are working on some dance tracks too.
That was going to be my next question, actually. What would be the style you're going into? So dance music is more where you're going to be looking into in the coming with your coming releases by the sounds of it.
Well, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily the direction I'm headed in. It's just that I believe that you should make the music that you like. And I know when I've talked to people in the industry, they've said, you need to decide, are you dance or are you pop? Because you need to know. And I'm like, well, I like both and I want to try both and I want to do both. So I'm not boxing myself in. I've got a couple of songs that I'm doing with Alex. So there's one single that's coming out soonish. But I'm not necessarily leaving pop to do dance.
Because you're going on what you just said there, because you self-manage everything. You're not using anyone else to help with your management. So
no.
Is there a particular conscious decision behind doing everything yourself as opposed to getting a publicist or something to help you?
Yeah, I mean, I think because I do have a corporate background, I have done a lot of like business to business work. I have a bit of an understanding of how business works. I guess I feel like I'm going to push for myself more than anyone else is going to push for me.
Yeah.
And I've definitely had a couple of consults with some managers that have kind of steered me in the right direction and given me helping hints on how to do certain things. But at this time where I'm at in my career, I feel like I can be self-managed. Do
you just feel that you're the one that's going to be able to push your promotion in sort of more that direction that you want to go in? Is that your line of thinking with that? I feel
like I'm at a certain point where I'm not ready to bring someone in, but once I reach that point, I will.
Okay, so you're like it's like choosing a car. So you're gonna spend a lot of time thinking about it and thinking about the different models, and you want to make sure you get it right because you're gonna be driving this thing every day. You want to make sure that it's a good fit.
Yeah, you don't want to just have any old manager because a lot of them. I'm not saying a lot of it, but like I know there's managers out there that haven't done much for their artists, and you need to be I personally think you need to be bringing in a certain amount of money from it as well to be able to justify it. There's a lot that you can do yourself. Like you can obviously, like I do, like I contact all radio stations. I've built relationships with different radio presenters and radio stations. I've had a lot of success with my publicity, and getting in different magazines. So built relationships there. I think the thing is you have to have no fear and you just have to back whatever you're doing. So if you decide to release a song, you have to back it, and not hold back. And like, I've put together a database, that I have now of.
Don't give away all your secrets. No. Like, I've got to keep a little bit of the mysticism about, being doing the behind the scenes stuff. Got to make everyone think that being a pop star is nothing but sipping margaritas and writing checks for your gold-plated Gucci watch.
Oh yeah, one day.
One day, one can only dream. No, so I mean, you've got a lot of effort going on behind the scenes that people probably don't realise. Then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it that I think a lot of people don't realise. And I think that's why a lot of people, if they put out a single and it doesn't blow up, they quit because they don't realise the work that it's involved. You're literally building a career brick by brick, and you have to be in it for the long haul. You can't be like, this is the song. It's the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, you got a very career mindset. So I'm guessing that must be from your background in your economics and business background, really sort of playing to the forefront there.
Yeah, well, I think so.
So sometimes it's good to have a real job, folks. You get something to fall back on. No, not like that, but I mean like something to add to what you can provide as an artist. Because a lot of artists don't have that business background. They're all they have that more creative background. So it's an interesting perspective to bring to your art form, and of course everything that goes on behind the scenes. So it's interesting to hear that.
Exactly. Yeah.
With we'll mention, of course, that. Which you mentioned before too, that you've got the EP coming out later this year, I believe.
Oh no!
So it was supposed to be at some point. We won't put a time frame on it.
Yeah, it's coming out. I'm actually. The whole idea was I was supposed to have it out by the end of the year, but I think I was quite ambitious in what I was trying to do this year.
This is the 1 year that you can admit that that your plans got away from you. This is the 1 year that people are okay with us. Oh, it's okay. There's been a pandemic. Nobody can go outside. It's fine. Really, it happens a lot more often than people think, I think.
But I stuck to my schedule of my singles. A couple of them were knocked back by a month or so, but because when I was planning on releasing the EP in October, it was going to be at the end of October, I clearly wanted to have the singles out well and truly prior to that. But now it's kind of given me more time to work on the songs that will be on the EP and be a bit more picky about what I will put on it. So I'm going to be releasing
are the songs that are going to be on the EP largely ones that you've already released as singles, or are they there's going to be new stuff? Okay.
It's not none of the singles that I released are going to be on the EP.
Oh, okay. So we've been hearing the preview. That's for it's like watching the trailer for a movie that ends up being totally missing the tone. Like in a good way. You know what I mean. It's like So we should be expecting to see some singles, some tints, I guess, drop of this new release coming out soon.
Yeah, well, the singles from the EP won't be dropping till next year. I've got a song coming out, a dance song coming out in about 6 weeks. Oh, it's probably going to time. And that's not on the EP. And I haven't set a date for the EP release, and I'm still working on songs for it as well. I haven't chosen what's going on it and what's not going on it. What
percentage roughly of the songs that you've written you expect to be on the EP?
I think there'll probably be 3 songs that I've already written that will be on the EP.
Fair enough. So you've cut. So there's a lot of material. So it sounds like there's a lot of material that didn't quite make the cut.
Well, I want to be more specific about it. There could even. I just want to be really, really happy with what I'm putting on it, and it needs to make sense.
So you're finding then that you're building up on a lot of the tips and skills and that you've gotten from these previous single releases.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. There's just so much that you don't know when you start off in this industry. And, I'd done music for years. I studied music at university. But studying music and being in the music industry, or like studying jazz, which is what I did, and being in the music industry are worlds apart.
Okay.
Like being a recording artist. Like obviously,
Yeah.
well, you don't learn about the industry. You learnt about jazz and you learnt about certain styles and how to improvise and how to obviously perfect your craft, but you didn't learn anything to do with the industry and how it works. It's kind of like going to school and not learning about money, like how to manage money, which is obviously one of the most important skills to have in life, you know?
Will the instrumentation on the EP be a lot different to what we've heard from you so far, or is it really going to be a continuation of what you've put out at the moment?
The songs are a continuation. I would say it's I don't want to speak too much about it because I still feel like there's so many things that I'm working out
keep
about
it vague. Keep it vague so we can all be wondering for the next however long it takes.
Yeah. It's going to be out in the first half of next year anyway.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a continuation of what I've already done, what I've released. But in saying that, I still think that the songs that I've released are quite different to each other.
Yeah, and I guess that's just the nature of releasing them individually as opposed to releasing them as part of a record.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by creating a body of work that makes sense. Like, you're not just going to throw a whole bunch of random songs together. Like, it just doesn't, like, why release an EP if, like, you might as well just release them as singles. At least that's what I believe or think at this point. Yeah.
Will the intention be to, obviously, once everything opens up again, to perform them live?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That was my goal this year, is that I'd set that goal of releasing an EP and really pushing it and touring New Zealand and Australia with it. And so that is definitely the goal. And that's why I think that it's important, really important to have songs that you absolutely love, because there's just so much that goes, once you create the songs, there's so much work that goes to get the songs out there and obviously to facilitate a tour as well. So I just want to make sure that I'm really, really happy with it. But I just can't wait to get out and perform and feel the energy of an audience, because that's what I've really been missing.
Yeah, true.
I've done a lot of live performing in the past, but not with these new songs. So I'm really excited to get out and get back on stage, because that's where I thrive. Like, I love that.
Nice. Well, before we get on to playing your latest single, we are going to, let's quickly give a rundown of your socials and that, where we can find your music, of course, and where we can connect and keep in touch with what you're doing.
Yep. So obviously I'm on Spotify, so you can find me there, Joanna Jones, and on Apple Music as well. There is another Joanna Jones though, so just be wary.
Who's ripping off who?
Well, she's not so much a recording artist. She's on Broadway. She's a very successful Broadway singer, but she does have like quite a large following, and she does have music on Spotify, and she has an Instagram. So just be wary of that.
So has anyone ever confused you for this other Broadway star?
Yes, it happens all the time.
Okay. We
don't look anything alike.
That wasn't on purpose at all.
No. So, like, she is a very different sound to me. Like, once you hear us, there's no mistaking it. But yeah, she's very much a theatre Broadway person. So just be wary of that. Whenever I was having issues when I was uploading my stuff onto Spotify, because all of my songs were going under her account. She would be probably getting really annoyed with me, because all of her following on Spotify
would have this
all received received the updates about the new songs.
Is that how you gained your first few fans? Wink, wink.
I don't know, but it definitely wasn't like, it was a positive for me. But yeah, so you can find me on Spotify, obviously follow me on Spotify and Apple, and my Instagram, which is Joanna Jones Music, and Facebook, which is also Joanna Jones Music. I do have Twitter and TikTok accounts too. My Twitter is Joanna Bop, and my TikTok is Joanna Jones Music. But I haven't been as active on either of those, but I do need to get across them. So follow me, please.
Just one extra thing to add to the list of your incredibly busy schedule, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, what I was going to ask. Oh, yes. So, sorry, let me read that again. So, of course, make sure you go and check out all of her singles as well, and keep an eye out of what's coming up so that you don't miss a single release or a single piece of hot news directly to your inbox. You don't have a subscribe function
actually.
on your. Actually, do you have a website?
I do have a website. I forgot to mention that. I've got joannajonesmusic.com. And this other Joanna Jones has the joannajones.com.
Yes.
But she's not using it. So I'm like, I'm trying to decide whether or not to buy it off her because I think she last listed it. I think she had it listed there for about $200 and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll consider it when it comes up, when mine comes up for renewal. But then when it came up for renewal, it'd been up to like $5,000 or something ridiculous. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to pay $5,000.
That's called the old outprice some insurance factor. That wasn't on purpose at all.
She's like, oh, now there's another Joanna Jones doing music. Might as well make money out of it.
So, yeah, make sure, as I said, go and check out all the stuff and websites and socials and that and keep an eye on what she's up to. Subscribe via her. Subscribe
on joannajones.com, music.com.
So, wrong Joanna Jones. See, you've already gotten confused. So joannajonesmusic.com. There we go. That's better. Yeah. Thanks again for bearing with us and taking the time out of your busy afternoon to chit chat with me all about your stuff, what you've been up to, and of course where you've come from.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're going to play Step Outside. Now, this is a bit of a favourite of the station so far. We actually played it on the Mint Factory a few weeks back, and I know the team thoroughly enjoyed it. They certainly did, which is why they included it on there. But of course, you want to get the inside scoop, as we always do. What were you thinking at the time of putting the song out? What was the original idea behind this one?
Well, so what happened is when I created Disaster, I actually came up with a Step Outside melody as well. And they shared a small melody in the outro. And the narrative kind of made sense at the time, and it still does to me, to create this song from the perspective of the other party in the relationship. And I've been on both sides in life, but about harnessing your power when you've been blindsided and betrayed by someone and stepping out into the world with kind of a new, what's the word? A new insight. A new lease, that's the word. A new lease on life. Yeah. So it's really about stepping into your power, stepping outside of your comfort zone and being true to you. And no matter how many people let you down in your life, no one can ever take away your power, and you can always find something positive in the world to focus on if you choose to. So that's basically the narrative behind it. But it was quite funny because the lyrics in the chorus talk about stepping outside with nothing to fear and nothing to hide. I didn't prepare because I wanted to share it with you and me instead. Which, when you put that into our current situation, it's not appropriate wanting to share it with you and me instead. But what I was actually trying to say is you're stepping outside, and you're making the most of life, but you're doing it on your own, that you plan on sharing it with that other person. But that basically you're still prepared to put yourself out there.
That's fine. You can never
really long-winded explanation.
You never blame someone for unintended consequences or unintended meanings. That's fine. Well, let's play it right now, Joanna. Thanks again for popping on the show with us this week. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Why don't you tell us why don't you intro the song for us and tell us who you are? Okay. I'm Joanna Jones, and this is my new single, Step Outside.
AustralianMusiciansRadio.com